And first things first, how would you describe yourself to a stranger?
Interestingly, the first story that I did about this hotel was out of curiosity when I found out that it hosted the first time a Pope set foot in Uganda. That was in 1969. We stayed at this place. Interestingly, also to note is that it started out as someone's home, the grandfather of Mr. Azhar. This was his home that he later expanded into a hotel facility. Notably from his story is he values the customer, he values his suppliers, and he values his employees. He treats them equally because all of them contribute to the ecosystem of the business. So, unlike they say, over the time, he attests that people continue returning to the hotel because the loyalty has been built given the good customer care and the beauty in consistency as a business, and most importantly, he's retained people. He says that the people who work here that saw him when he was a boy, and I've seen one of the gentlemen, someone said you can tell a good person or employer by the retention level of their employees, their friends, and in this case, their customers as well. Let's dig in, enjoy the interview, and tell us what you think about it. Do you know someone with an interesting story like Mr. Azhar? Inspiring story? Please let us know in the comment section, and we'll make an effort to reach out to them and tell their story too. Remember to like, subscribe, follow us for more of such stories. Thank you.
I describe myself as friendly, kind, open-minded, and creative.
How many hats do you wear?
How many hats?
Professional hats.
Too many hats. No, okay. I'm a husband. I'm a leader. I sit on various boards. I always try to give back. I feel life, you need balance. It's not all about just making money. It's about making money, but giving back to society, and skill transfer. You know, if you know something, it's good to share the knowledge you have, because when you share openly, I feel people share with you. I think when you hold things to yourself only, that kind of stuff doesn't lead to growth.
Okay, and I know you for sitting on the board of Uganda Tourism Association. Tell us a little bit about that and what your role entails there.
So I represent hotels on Uganda Tourism Association. Uganda Tourism Association is the body for private sector. So there's a lot of smaller organizations within or sector. So like hospitality, there's tour guides, birding, women in tourism. But UTA represents everyone. And we are the voice that negotiates with government to help with policy, to give ideas on how to market the country. Yeah, like that.
And we're here seated at Fairway Hotel. Invite us into your hotel.
Okay. Fairway Hotel is like 100 years old in terms of the structure itself. It's from the 1920s. It was like my great-grandfather's house. The house slowly expanded as more family members came in. Then in 1969, my grandfather, Sharali Bandali Jaffer, turned it into a hotel to host the first ever Pope's visit to Uganda. So a lot of the Pope's cardinals and entourage stayed here at Fairway. When the Pope left, they then branded it Fairway Hotel. And it was called Fairway Hotel because it was across from the golf course. And the fairway is like that space within the golf course. It was actually named by His Highness the Aga Khan's brother, who had suggested the name Fairway Hotel to my grandfather at that time. Fairway Hotel has 100 rooms. We have around 9 conference halls, 2 restaurants. It's spread over 4 acres. As you walk around, you'll notice it's not like a typical hotel. You're surrounded by gardens. There's cats running around. The staff are very friendly. I have some staff that have been with me here for over 20 years. They've seen me grow up as a young boy. So it's that homely feeling. We say we are your home away from home, and that's what we have really tried to curate here at Fairway Hotel.
You said something very interesting about, people who have worked here for almost half of your lifetime. What does that speak to the family friendliness and how you adapt that into business?
In business, you need to have some professionalism, but I also feel like you need to make people feel a part of an organization, right? An organization has a heart, right? So I think when you show people job security, when you make people feel a part, make them feel a part of the decision-making process, I think that's when people feel at home at a business. I always say that you have three customers: the customer that comes through the door that pays, the suppliers, and your staff, right? If you treat all three customers well, then your business can flourish. But if you fail at one, you cannot grow as an organization. And for us, one thing we have done well is we have treated our staff with dignity. We pay them on time. We give them a voice. Every 6 months we do staff surveys and things like that. So I think it makes them feel very a part of Fairway Hotel.
Okay, and then you said something very important, the way you treat a customer, and then you equate your worker to being a customer. And then in a market where there is now fleeting loyalty, you have I think about 10 or 15 hotels around you. What are those things that you're doing to remain afloat and competitively so?
So first, you're right, there are a lot of new hotels coming, and poaching, unfortunately, is something that comes in with such things. But when developing a resource takes time. Like, my staff are like my assets. So when I've developed someone from a trainee into a leader, and then someone comes and poaches, it's like someone is stealing an asset from you. So that is one thing that our industry, we are still trying to work on to see how to improve. And the one thing we do with our staff is we try to always maintain good relations with them. I think that's quite important. A lot of times a new hotel will come and they'll promise big salaries, but then they can't end up paying the big salaries, and then people get frustrated, they leave. So I think people have seen that in the market, that, hey, okay, if I'm in a stable place, I'd rather stay somewhere that I know I'm going to get my paycheck than go somewhere that is in the unknown. To stay competitive, we keep focusing on the customer experience. People come to a hotel not just for a bed and food. They come for an experience. They want to make sure the internet is fast. They're given good service. They feel at home, they feel comfortable, they feel safe and secure. So that's something we're constantly trying to innovate. How do we improve our customer experience from what it is today to make it one of the best in Uganda? And if you look at one of our mottos, it's defining Uganda's hospitality. It's because Fairway is 55 years old. We're one of the first hotels in the country, and we are constantly pushing the boundary of what customer service is. If you look online, we're one of the top online as well. We have good customer reviews. Just like I have staff that are 20 years old, I have customers that have been staying with us for 20 years as well.
Okay, and you talked about now the expanded role of DES not managing the hotel, but then representing the interests of the hotel. What are the interests of the hotel owners with the UTA there?
So without hotels, you can't have tourism, right? Anyone coming into the country, you need a place to stay. So hotels are a very, very important part of tourism. We're one of the biggest tax contributors, one of the biggest employment, also one of the more structured businesses when it comes to tourism. So hotels on UTA have a very important voice in pushing for policy change. For me in particular, I want to see more people coming to Uganda. I want people to look at Uganda and be like, wow, I had an amazing experience, tell more people, bring more people to Uganda. It exposes our culture. Even when people from Europe, from China, from India, when they come here and they interact with Ugandans, it's also giving Ugandans exposure, interacting with different cultures as well. So UTA is trying to promote tourism in Uganda. It's trying to bring more tourists, and it's trying to help structure things in a better way to protect the interest of investors, but also the tourists themselves.
Okay, and then there are these big events coming off. We have AFCON coming in, and how prepared are the hotels for such big events?
I think now hotels in Uganda are used to such. We've had the Chogams, we've had so many kind of conferences come in and out. So I think we are used. I think going into sports tourism is very interesting. It's something different as well that attracts a different type of person. I'm constantly saying in our tourism forums that, we should not just be promoting gorillas and animals. Uganda has way more. We have the mountains, you have, you can go biking, the Rwenzori trails. So tourism and that active attracting of tourists into the mountaineering and all that stuff is also a big thing that I think the things like AFCON Cup will help with. Yeah.
Someone comes to stay in, and you say hotels are a very central place in tourism. If I come to stay at Fairway Hotel, what are the options for me to extend my staycation here? What activities have you lined for me to make sure that you get me here longer, and as I see Kampala, as I see Uganda, and what options are out there?
I believe in Kampala we are still lacking a lot more activities. We don't, we have the Baha'i Temple, we have the markets, Uganda Market, Kabuli Mosque and things like that. But I think there needs to be more work in developing our cultural sites so that it becomes something memorable, that someone comes here like, hey, I had such a good experience at Ndere Center or here, that it's something they write about or they take photos of. So I think developing more sites in Kampala is a need. Outside Kampala, I would say Entebbe. Entebbe is beautiful. We have Coco Beach in Entebbe that a lot of tourists and a lot of people go to visit. There's the zoo, there's the botanical gardens, there's a market there on the weekends as well. So I think Entebbe is a big one. There's Jinja. We always send people to Jinja for a day or one night trip as well. The source of the Nile, walking around town there. Then of course, upcountry, we have so many beautiful parks and things to do. We have Sambia River Lodge in Murchison Park. It's a 70-acre property. It's around 35 cottages. We're right near the top of the falls as well. So we always try to pack on. If somebody's coming to the city, we say, hey, if you're coming, why don't you extend a few days and go to Jinja, go to Murchison, go to Entebbe as well. So that's how we try to get people to stay here longer. MICE is a very big thing, conferencing. I can see the government is putting a lot of money behind MICE, but I would suggest that along with MICE, there needs to be tag on. So someone is coming here for a 4 or 5 day conference. It should be almost mandatory that we force people that, if you're coming to see Kampala for a conference, add in 2 nights, go to see Fort Portal, go and see what Uganda has to offer. And working with tour operators, tour agents, hotels upcountry to help fill that void of, hey, not just coming for conference, come for conference and see the country as well.
And you're extending your leg of hospitality investment into Fort Portal. What is it about Fort Portal that you're seeing? What opportunities are there? What is attracting you to the city?
So right now we're in Kampala, we're in Entebbe, and we are in Murchison Park. We are looking at Fort Portal. I just fell in love with Fort Portal. It's beautiful, the tea fields, the craters. I remember going there and swimming. People are friendly, the food, I don't know, everything about Fort Portal I like. The air feels clean. So I feel where Fort Portal is there's an opportunity there for sure. I still think Jinja has opportunity. In the parks, there are opportunities as well. Like Kidepo, Queen Elizabeth, they need a few more lodges there too. I would say in terms of opportunities in tourism as a whole, I would say that people who want to get into becoming tour agents or tour operators to focus on specific things. So for example, if you specialize in activity or if you specialize in birding or in beetles or in whatever it is, try to pick something you specialize and know it well and do it to a very high level, and that will attract people.
And then you're at a nexus where you're running all these a conglomerate of things. How do you do all this and not lose yourself?
I think if you enjoy what you're doing, I come to work every day enjoying what I do. There's not a day that I come to work and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be here. There's sometimes you're tired, you might come late, but I enjoy being here. I enjoy being with my staff. Sometimes when I'm abroad, I actually miss Fairway. It's like my home. I miss my team. I miss my assistant. I miss my reception. Walking through, everyone greets you. So, it's like we have created that kind of family feel. So it doesn't really feel like work. In terms of running multiple things, it has its challenges. We have a shortage of sometimes talent or exposed people. I think now that a lot of Ugandans are going to Dubai, getting exposure and coming back, I think that's a huge asset for the country, because you're going there, you're learning things, you're coming back. I've seen a lot of I've had staff myself that have gone to Germany, that have gone to UK, gone to Canada, and when some of them come back, they bring that exposure back, which is a great thing as well. And I have a good team. I think if you have a good team and you surround yourself with good people and you treat them well, then they support your organization and they support your growth.
And then they are the traits as a leader that you uphold. Which are those?
I think first, integrity, being honest. I think it's important to, if you say you're going to do something, do it. I see very often here some business people, they'll hire someone to do something and then they'll frustrate when it comes to payment, and I don't think that's fair. I think being people focused, not just being money focused, focusing on the people, helping people develop. One thing we now try to do at Fairway is we try to work with fresh graduates. So you've graduated, you have no experience, you come in as a trainee, and we help you grow and develop within the organization, because I feel like you're more loyal, you'll work harder, and we can train you into what we want for hospitality. You don't come with the same bad habits as you might have learned in other places. So people focused, being flexible. You can't be rigid. Like when COVID came, one of the reasons Fairway was somehow able to survive and keep most of its staff is because we were flexible. We sat together as a team, we discussed, this is the situation, we got feedback from the team members, and that's how we move forward. It wasn't like me sitting in my office, I was like, this is going to happen like this, and So I think being collaborative is very important, being a team player. I don't think my managers fear to give me feedback. In fact, many times I'll ask them, I want you to be blunt. I want you to tell me, what am I doing well? What do I need to improve? So I think as a leader, it's important to be humble as well. There are many times I'm moving around the hotel, people don't even know I'm the owner. Like people just think I'm a manager or I'm a guest. Even moving in town, people don't really know me, which is good sometimes. So I think being humble is very important. I think when you have an ego, it's problematic. So yeah.
And then they say there's the boss and there's the leader. Why do you choose to be the leader?
I think it gets you places faster. I think when you lead, people want to follow you. When you're a boss, people have to follow you. So I think that's the difference. Sometimes you have to come and be a boss because you need to show authority in some situations. Especially in Uganda, sometimes people take advantage. I think it's natural. So leading with being flexible and friendly sometimes gets you further than being authoritative and being entitled.
Okay, and then I'm currently running a project called the Uganda I Love. Which is the Uganda you love?
I love Uganda as its identity. I love that it's green. I love that people are genuinely friendly here. Fine, okay, there's individualism here more than I've seen in other countries, but people are genuinely nice, friendly people. I like that there's a vibe. There's every night in Kampala, you can go somewhere and there are people and you can just talk to random people. People are friendly. We have such a beautiful country. Every area of the country is a bit unique in its own way. Like driving to Sambi River Lodge through Murchison Park, that road, the way the jungle is, it's so beautiful. Like it just makes me happy every time I drive up there. The lakeside, we don't have oceans, but we have the lake. So we have beaches. I think it's beautiful as well, being on the water. Yeah, that's the Uganda I love. Yeah.
Okay, and away from the places that you manage, which are in the hospitality industry, and someone might imagine that that's where you go to relax. Away from your properties, where do you go to let a bit down?
I find it hard to find places with privacy, but I go to Entebbe quite a bit. Like Underita Beach has a few restaurants there that you can just go and sit in a corner, read a book. Where do I go? I guess I go to a lot of my own properties.
It's still work.
No, yeah, yes and no.
Work and a bit of play and pleasure.
Yeah, somehow. But also like in Kampala, when you have a good community of friends, you go to friends' houses, things like that. I think that's where I spend a lot of my time, with my friends, their houses, going to restaurants. Like one thing we have nice in Kampala is we have beautiful restaurants, You have the Italian, you have Japanese, you have Chinese, you have Thai. That can't be said for a lot of African countries. But here in Kampala, we have some beautiful restaurants. And I think that's part of the allure of working here, of tourists coming here, is that you can come and you can have a good meal. But I do think still in tourism, there needs to be a lot more in culinary. I think it's important for the country, for government to spend more resources in training chefs. Chefs are more highly paid. Those skills can be transferred anywhere in the world. So I think there's still a need for that skill development in culinary.
Okay. And you sit in an association where you advise government about policy. What are those things that you wish government would do differently to create a more amiable working and existing relationship and business for those who run the sector?
I think in the past, private sector would work alone and government would work alone. And I think through UTA, it's also helped to massage them together, where they understand that you can't work in silos, you have to work together. And I think UTA has really done well at doing that over the last few years. This is the first time where I'm really seeing that, Ministry of Tourism, UTB is calling UTA to meetings on, almost every few weeks, like, come, we want to hear your ideas. And that's amazing because you're collaborating. I think where government needs to do better in terms of tourism is realizing that as private sector, we are your soldiers, right? If you equip us with the tools, we will go out and market your country because we are the ones to benefit, just like the country is. Those who sit in government offices don't necessarily understand the same way, tourism the same way we do. So I think, sponsoring tour agents and tour operators to go to tour shows around, because they will go there with passion, they will stand at those stalls and they will market the country and they will bring tourists, right? In a different way than someone working for government will. So I think that is one. I think another one is making it easier to do business. A hotel in Uganda, you pay like 25 taxes and licenses. It is not easy at all, and it just becomes complicated. Make it easy for us, right? Make it easy to run a hotel. Make it more affordable to run a hotel. If you look at 18% VAT, 30% corporate tax, 15% dividend tax, then licenses, then hotel tax, it's way too much. So I think they need to simplify that for hotels to make it a bit easier. Not only for foreign hotels that are coming here and getting tax waivers, but for the local hotels that are also here that have been supporting the economy for long. And also really understanding what is the brand of Uganda. We had this thing, the Pearl of Africa, and that is what Uganda is. It's a small country in East Africa. We are the Pearl of Africa, and I think that is what we need to exploit as our brand. A pearl is something precious, and that's what Uganda is.
When you look at your journey, who is that one person that has been very key in modeling you into the person you've become?
It's hard to say one person, but I can speak of maybe a few. I think first I would say my grandfather, Sharali Bandali Jaffer. He was an MP in Uganda. My grandmother was a social worker. They taught me a lot about balance and integrity. If you're going to do something right. If you give someone your word, make sure you follow through. Also about being diplomatic, about being social. My grandfather was a very social person. Even till today, anywhere I go, I say my name. People know, oh, I knew your grandfather, which is a beautiful thing. My father was a very loving person. Very gentle heart. He was not materialistic in terms of oh, I want something to earn money. It was more about, if you asked him for something, he'd be like, here, take it. He wasn't very material in that way. He was more a giving person. So I learned a lot from my dad about how to be gentle, how to be kind, how to be humane. My dad was one of those people that would talk to every person. He would stand at the back and greet every person, every cleaner, it doesn't matter who you were. He would greet you. He'd let you in his office. So a very open-minded person. My mom was very academic, pushed me to be very you cannot just have the social side. You need to also be academic. And that's why I have 3 degrees. My mom forced me to continuously educate myself. So those I think are the main people that have had an impact in my life. But I would also say my community in Uganda. I have a lot of my Ugandan aunties and uncles who always advise me well. People who knew the family, who wish me well, who want me to do well, who want me to succeed. They've seen what I've done at Fairway. They've seen the way I've had an impact on my staff as well. A lot of my staff, when they leave me, they don't go just to work somewhere else. They go to do their own businesses, which to me is amazing. That you're not leaving me for another job. You're leaving me to do something better, which for me is a great thing. So yeah, those are my influences.
So what is it that you would wish government would do to try and support local entrepreneurs in Uganda?
So I think first I would actually say in terms of tax policy, I would say that the taxes in Uganda are some of the highest in the world. So I think taxes, when they are fair, people intend to pay. If you look at a small business that is just starting a small restaurant, then all of a sudden you need to pay as you earn, NSSF, VAT, corporate tax. It never allows a business to grow. So I think instead of giving tax waivers, it should be reduce the taxes, make it fair, and then enforce to make sure people pay. If you look at the rental tax, it's only 12%. It's fair. But if you look at some of the other taxes, 60% is not fair. Capital gains is almost 30 to 40%. It's not fair. So I would say make taxes affordable so people can pay, number one. I would also say support local businesses that have been supporting the economy. If you look at the Fairways, the Africanas, they've been here for generations. They have been paying taxes. They've been giving employment. Find those businesses that are already growing in the economy and say, hey, how do I support you to open a hotel in Fort Portal, in Jinja, right? We have land here, we have money at UDB. How do we help you grow, as opposed to saying, hey, we need foreign investors to come. Foreign investors, when they come, they invest here, but they usually take their money back outside. A local investor, they understand Uganda, they will keep their money in Uganda. So I think supporting local businesses and that local entrepreneurial ecosystem is very important. Not just the big businesses, but also the smaller businesses that are trying to grow. Make it easy for entrepreneurs in Uganda to grow their businesses through policy and through incentives for local businesses.
Sustainability and eco-friendliness of a hospitality facility like you run here and the others that you run is very important today. What are the things that you're doing to operationalize sustainability as business entities?
So one thing we've done, so first we are very cautious in our footprint. So if you look at, for example, even at Fairway, all the hot water is done through solar. We have at least 15-20% of our electricity is done by solar. At the lodge, we've just put in a whole solar plant. So the whole lodge is now going to be on solar. So we're always trying to minimize our carbon footprint. Nothing is wasted. Anything that is discarded usually is taken by the staff members. There's no food that is thrown away. It's either donated or it's eaten. So minimizing garbage collections. I would say that the Uganda I remember when I was a young boy is not the Uganda today. The air is not clean. I look outside my balcony and you can't even see the mountains anymore. You know, it's just smog. So I think the government needs to do a lot more in trying to protect our environment, because we are saying we want Uganda to grow, but it's our future generations that is going to breathe this air, that is going to keep us sick, right? If we continuously breathe in smog, our health is all going to deteriorate. So I think the government needs to be in order to protect Uganda's ecosystem. We started a page on Instagram. It's called Keep Uganda Green. And we keep putting out tips about, what you can do to improve your gardens or to keep your air clean, reduce, recycle, all those things. We worked with Nakasero Primary School to educate the kids on, best practices or why the environment is important. But I think it needs to be nationwide. If you look at Rwanda, this whole thing of cleaning with your community, that once a week, they come out, they clean. In Kampala, people just throw garbage on the road. The policies, they're not policies there to say, hey, as a community, we need to keep our country clean for us and for our future generations. And that's not being done. I think in terms of, for example, manufacturing is important, but manufacturing that is done in a way that doesn't harm the environment. People pouring things into our lakes, NEMA is important, but the NEMA should enforce properly. So yeah, I think that's what I would say. And I also think that if you promote tourism as sustainable tourism, it's something that a lot of foreigners like. It can attract people to Uganda in that way. If we really push all hotels, we make it easy for us to go green, that will change our image to the international community that, hey, look at Uganda, what they're trying to do. They're trying to go green. They're trying to promote sustainability. Why don't we go and support their tourism as well? So I think that's something the government can work with UTA and private sector to initiate more.